you know, to me, it just needs to be discussed, and I don't know how we, you know, should we make a meeting with the school committee and,
I believe they're meeting tomorrow night.
well, I don't know how we all wanna approach it. It's,
Well, I
because,
think we ought to send the select board and we ought to send the chairman of the finance committee.
Well, I was thinking, I'll agree with you on the first half of that.
I think we should send an alternate finance board member.
I'm not an alternate finance board member.
Why
If the
not,
chairman can speak for tomorrow night, just an alternate.
why not approach the superintendent, ask them if they've worked the numbers, other than a lump in the kindergarten, which may phase out too. You know, there may be, some of these kids that are going through now may not be detrimental in a given classroom. You know,
Well, there's 79 students at the grammar school, grammar
Right.
school choice right now.
and they're talking about the kindergarten next year, they have 2 kindergartens of Deerfield kids, and they will have enough for a third classroom with school choice. So, but if you offer that third classroom school choice, this is my understanding,
Yeah.
then you have to carry it through.
You have
for
to
the
continue it through
for the
all the
they
way
said,
through.
yeah,
Full
they
yeah.
said that.
Right.
And it's a continuation actually through 12th grade.
Is
Through
it?
12th, yeah.
Okay.
So they have to take them at Frontier
So-
too.
You know, somebody needs to look at all the school choice that's in
Well,
all the elementary schools then.
I haven't had a chance to talk with Marty, but I left that meeting with the impression that
I think they're
we were going to
studying
take a
that.
good
Yeah.
hard look
They
at
were gonna look at it.
school
I
choice
read
now.
paper that she was talking about,
Yeah.
looking at it.
Yeah,
And
But
because
are
she's
you
gotten
gonna
the
make a-
word.
Yeah,
I don't
but are
think
you-
they're ready to make a decision by next week, one way or the other.
no.
The problem
We'll
is,
give them
that
to us
they
the
look
week.
at the school choice, they see
Right.
the funds
We'll give
coming
them to us the
in, it's
week.
not a direct budget item, so they look at it as for the extras that are going into the school. It is money that they're using for the extras in the school, but they don't realize that for every dollar they're spending, it's actually costing the town probably 2.5 to 3.
Well, that's the question, and I know when we looked at it, as speaking as a school committee member in the early part of, or
So
the
it's
late,
all your fault.
yeah, it's around 2000, whether it was 1999, 2000, 2001, we voted to take school choice back then for 2 reasons. One, there were towns that were accepting Deerfield students, and it was bringing down the enrollment, but not enough so that you could cut a staff position. So, for example, you might have 55 kids in some grade, and the thought was, well, if we can add 5 kids to that grade, that would give us 60. We've got 3 students. We have 3 teachers now in that grade. So the additional cost of those 5 students would be marginal, minimal, compared to that point in time, $25,000 that those 5 students would bring in.
Now,
The
what's
co-
it cost to educate a kid now in elementary?
Well, it's right now we're spending about, I think it was $13,000.
$13,000 per
Yeah.
copy, yeah.
But if you lose 1 kid, obviously the budget's not going to drop by $13,000. So that was the basis on which we took school choice kids in. Carolyn's right. What happens when you get to that point where you don't have
Spaces
the
to fill.
40 students, or you have exactly or less than 40 students, and you bring in 20 school choice students who are filling 1 class position? Those 20 students would in fact bring in $100,000, but is it really cost effective? And that's a question that I think we need to get answered.
I was just going to say, you need to run the numbers, but you
Yes.
have a teacher, 2 aides, you have health benefits, you have retirement.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're committed to that 20 kids or that extra classroom all
those
the way through.
You
And,
are. I mean, if it pays for itself 1 year, there's no reason to think that it wouldn't pay for itself the
Right.
next year. But the question is, does it really pay for itself that
right.
1 year? And that's the answer
It's not
that
a simple thing, because
No. No, it's
when you don't
complicated.
do it, you're still gonna have potentially kids leaving, so it's gonna cost you stuff on the other end, and then what happens to your programs you've got? I mean, it's a big question. It's gonna have, as Marty said 2 weeks ago, that Frontier, they're expecting what? It's gonna be dropped by 300 kids in
Oh,
10
in
years
10
or
years,
whatever,
yeah.
over 10 years. I mean, it's happening in all these towns, and, you know, it may be better that you're trying to take, if you can still get 100 kids in here, maybe better than not having any and losing 50.
According to this
You know,
piece they gave us, 20% of the population is school choice now, and they took in $565,000 in school choice. The revenues for the 15 budget are $585,000 for 87 kids. I think she's looking at it, trying to figure out where the cutoffs are. You know, because they're seeing decreases in what the state's saying they'll support.
Right.
And she made it clear the state's not about to change what they're offering. So, 'cause some,
That they're not,
some of the
yeah,
western
they're
part
not
of the
gonna
state
increase,
losing it.
school choice.
yeah, you see, if we're taking in this 500,000 or whatever per year, and it's actually going into the, it originally was add-ons, and now it's part of supporting the budget. Are we gonna be able to come up with $500,000 for that budget?
Well, if you,
Don't have it.
yeah, if you lose that, are you gonna drop some of those things that are attracting? I mean, you're gonna lose kids out from within district, are they gonna school
Mhm.
choice out on you?
It's not an easy
No.
question, because you've been doing it for so long, it's
But
part
to
of the
start a whole
system.
new classroom,
I know.
it's a school choice.
Well, I don't know.
But that was
I
the
don't
whole
know.
argument, you have two classes, and you're filling the spaces in those two classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
it was,
starting a whole
it
new
was 3
grade.
classes, and in this case, you're right,
It's a whole classroom.
it's a whole classroom,
And how many students in that one classroom?
20.
give or take 15 to 20.
Okay. So 20 at $5,000,
Kindergarten
copies
can't be over
$100,000, and
And you have a teacher in 2A.
a teacher in 2 ways. And a teacher, you're talking 40, 50 grand.
60, 65, depending on what step they're
Well,
at.
it depends on the step, from 35 to 60.
Well, I thought they always hired the kids with the teachers with the basic education. That was the lowest.
Fresh out of college, right?
Not,
Yeah.
not in
It-
kindergarten, they
But that's
have.
what,
They grew up with the kids.
that's what happened to this year with their budget, because they have the younger kid, they've got that increase, but they also have that $5,000 step, so a lot of those teachers are getting 10, 11% increases this year in their pay, even though
If
they
we're
said.
bringing in 100,000, I think they're better off to cut that budget and not hire one more teacher for that one classroom.
Not just a teacher.
Well, but what I'm saying is you have to make that decision in the kindergarten year, because you have to run through, what's happening is if you don't make
All
the
the other
decision-
people will still continue to
Right.
come,
And
and
we'll
we'll
still
still get up to
collect.
$5,000.
We'll still
So we're not gonna cut $485,000 out of the budget, you're gonna cut $100,000 out of that, out of the $585,000.
What you would be
You're not gonna cut
deciding whether,
anything if you don't bring them.
well, what you're deciding is whether you keep the kindergarten 2 or 3 classrooms.
That's right, right.
And if you have a kindergarten at 2 classrooms, we don't know what would happen the following year, but that when that kindergarten becomes first grade, you're going to have 2 first grades, presumably,
Right,
then 2 second grades.
right,
And it does mean that you're going to be shifting
right.
faculty, because in all likelihood, unless, I mean, I would doubt that we would ever drop to the point where, at least in the foreseeable future, in the next couple of years, where we're running a school with just 2 classrooms per grade. Maybe,
It may be the start of the two,
it may,
That's what
especially
we're
if the
wondering.
projection is to have less students
Yeah.
over
When
the
your
next 10
enrollment's
years.
down every year.
I mean,
Well, you're gonna
Very
save a lot
possible.
more money if you combine, if it's regionalized and you close some school buildings.
Yeah, if you close school buildings, you're gonna buy new school buildings, and where are you gonna go, and what's it gonna cost you to post all?
No,
You could
no.
fit,
We could fit
go on
Conway
TV
here.
in the paper, but you could fit all the kids in Whately in Deerfield right now
Right
without
now.
any problem.
And you could fit- you could-
78 students at Whately right now.
Okay, so you're talking about just closing their schools
Well, yeah, I
and
mean,
shipping all the
right.
kids right down here.
This is off the top of my head, I'm not saying you're gonna do this, but I mean, this is where, the only way you're really gonna save money is if you, and this is the same problem up in Mohawk.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got all these school buildings that were built for 300 kids here, 200 kids there, now they've got 150 kids here and 100 kids there.
I mean, it's
And it's just-
everywhere.
it's just
a whole
hard.
discussion. And you have to look at the numbers, because
You get,
you know,
you have more parents, have more babies, and have more kids, that's all we need.
Nobody can afford kids, Tom.
That's why the regionalization thing creeps in.
Yeah, but the last time they did a regionalization study, there was one problem with it. The way they want to regionalize it was gonna cost Deerfield an extra $500,000 compared to everybody else. We're always the one who picks up all the funding for it.
Well,
That's the problem.
They do it based on head count, though. I mean, if you've got 2/3 of the
They
kids.
did a projection, and at that time, that projection was that it would cost the town of Deerfield $500,000 more. Period, bottom end of line.
I don't remember what the numbers, but it was,
That was
it
a
was, it
$500,000,
was
I
more
remember
expensive.
that.
It was gonna be more expensive
Why
to
wouldn't it be divvied
regionalize.
up as the head count changes?
Because the other towns are gonna pay more too, but we're gonna pay the biggest share of it.
No, but I mean, if you start off even Steven, based on head count, and change it every year with head count, then
The
you're
problem
always
is that
paying
if
for
you
your
take
own.
Conway kids, put them in the Deerfield, they're gonna pay us $5,000 per student.
No.
Well, no, this
It's full regionalization.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Reconfigure. Well, maybe we can do the same thing as EMS. We'll run 52% of the school and only have 1/3 of the say, like we did at Frontier.
Oh, for God's sake,
No.
you're
John,
shut up.
John,
That's not what we're doing.
Not even on the.
It took them 50
You
years
two,
to
two
fix
peas
the
in a
problem.
pod.
Hey, John, slap him, would you?
Agree with you, John.
We always gotta go back.
If you don't learn from history, if you do history again, you'll remake history, because you'll make the same stupid mistake made before. And we're going through a new
Okay.
cycle of making those stupid mistakes.
Okay, we're not gonna settle the school issue now. Let's go on to something that's.
How about if you
Okay,
let
All-
John take care of his police department, so we get out of here.
I can't talk, I'm still laughing.
Well, I think the appropriate thing is to go to the school, ask the superintendent and the school committee to give us feedback on what their
well,
thoughts are.
I think,
they've been.
I
Because they're just,
I think
think
they're
if
gonna
they're,
plan on
they're
doing
gonna
that.
study it,
yeah.
I think there needs to be some members of the community as well as school committee on whatever organization or structure they put together.
There's a whole list of
Study.
names.
Those aren't the volunteers, though.
I know. Oh, they will for that.
So, well, this way we can keep you quiet, can't we? So, John, you're on.
I thought I was quiet. Pardon me.
So I believe the budget's in there and
Salaries, we're gonna work their salaries first, or police expense?
Whatever you want, whatever your pleasure is.
whatever order there were in the,
Salary.
Pretty much the same as last year?
Everything's pretty much the same. Myself, the two sergeants, due to contractual issues, everybody was given a step increase, assuming that they meet expectations in their performance review in June and authorization of Board of Selectmen vote. The one that you see that dropped is Kurt Gilmore left and Garrett Dana was hired. So you see about a $2,400 drop under G. Dana. So nobody got demoted or anything like that. He's just replaced Kurt Gilmore and started at 3 steps lower. And shift differential increased up, I believe, about $2,000. You saw last year it increased up about $3,000. As part of the contract negotiation, the Board of Selectmen agreed to bring the shift differential up, which was voted in the early 1980s. And what they did was a phase-in on it. They did it over a 3-year period. So there'll be one more increase in that coming next year. Everything else relatively, other than holidays and $200 more in personal days, everything is pretty much the same exact amount. I took all the part-time wages and pretty much transferred them right over because things seem like they're working very well.
It's a big bump in the Quinn bill, is that because
There's a
people-
decrease in the Quinn bill by $3,000.
Well,
there was a
mine
big
goes
bump in
from
it
40
last
to
year.
52.
13 to 14 went up 18,000. And then this year it went down 3,000.
say it again. Look at the, what
Yeah,
numbers,
right on the budget
Oh,
sheet.
wait, we don't,
the numbers, the budget sheet, that gets different from the one
It
you
looks
get.
like it went up 3,000.
We got
You
different
have
pages?
Does everyone have the current one?
well, we have 13s and voted 14.
I have voted in 14, 58,000.
No, I get 52.
You got 52.8?
52,
All right, so depending on what that actual number is, that may be a typo on my behalf. I got 58,000 in my book. It may have went up 3,000. Last year was a big increase.
John, what's the bottom line on voted 2014 and 2015.
The increase is $15,000. It's 2.38%. Should be in the top left.
I think we're
But it goes from 664,480 to 679,790.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
those are the numbers that we're actually voting.
Yes. Should be roughly 2.37, 2.38%.
This is 2.30, so.
Yep.
Did the Board of Selectmen say they approved that? They didn't want over 2%?
What's the,
They haven't looked at it yet.
We haven't looked at it yet. But
any thoughts?
it's contractual for us.
It's contractual, yeah, for the most part. Any questions on the police salary portion of the budget?
I'm gonna abstain from that discussion.
Told you, one way keeping you quiet.
All right.
No matter how you look at it, it's costing you.
I know.
Is that a comment?
Yeah.
I don't know if those pages.
That was a,
What's
trying
that?
to take out those pages, I got the old peanut gallery.
Does he have it with 15 numbers?
No, we don't have any
Did you-
15 numbers.
Oh, it wasn't in my box.
No.
Did you get it in the box?
No.
Should have been in the box. You sure you don't have it stuffed up front here somewhere?
Stuff with everything else?
Do you have the narrative?
Yeah, did you get the
I got the narrative, I got that, I read it.
Well, you want to just copy down and, or look over, you can look over my shoulder.
You know what I can do, Tom? I can copy mine. I'll just copy mine.
Just look over my
So
shoulder.
copy the next one. I think, the next one.
Yeah,
You want me to do it?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to do the police expense?
Yep.
well,
Salary and expense.
now, the police expense is gonna change.
Well, we don't have any numbers.
All right. Why don't I just fill it out?
I would, but I don't have a post here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a roll copy.
Thank you.
I like it. I have
This
to
one,
find them.
Is
Good
on
vote, you have two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. That's good, that's saving money.
I know you'd appreciate that one.
Yeah.
Smile a little.
Besides, we have Mike's old copy we can use, 15 years old.
You won't even be heard tonight, you're not on the agenda.
So I put my name in within the 3-day period.
Yep, Casey will contact you. Yep, and she's gonna schedule a hearing for you.
I don't have time for dilatory tactics. My health is on the line. My safety is clearly at risk and has been lowered. It wasn't the 21st of January that Mr. Ostrowski came to do the inspection. It was the 8th in which the town reported it.
Yeah, well, the problem, Devin, is you're sitting in with the finance committee right now, they have no idea what you're talking about. You are actually appealing to the Board of Health, and the Board of Health needs to set a meeting date, not just the Board of Selectmen, but the actual Board of Health. And they're the ones that have to sit down if they need to hear your appeal. So right now, you're at the wrong meeting.
So I'll just leave.
That's probably the best.
Stay here.
Yeah.
Be entertained.
You can stay here and listen if you want.
It's an open meeting, you're more than welcome to stay, but they're not gonna hear your concerns.
Yeah, there's enough nonsense in this area I need to deal with.
Well, you may stick around, you may like the, working with numbers, and you may want to become a member of the finance committee, we're always trying to recruit.
Thank you for the offer.
It pays so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wanted this?
I don't think any of us can.
Oh.
Are we on camera?
Yes.
Well, then I might have to read more
Oh,
copies.
we're on camera.
Here we go.
No.
No,
Thank you.
David, you
Got it.
recognize them? Okay.
I'm sorry, I wrote on it.
All right, you gave me some notes, I should be.
No, I just wrote
know about it.
control for myself.
A little
Skip
easier
has
to
it.
follow.
Some issues over there.
Mary, you got
That
it.
they need to address at the Board of Health.
Okay, thank you.
Ralph, did you have it? You didn't have it.
I couldn't find it, no, thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I wrote you all. That's mine now.
Board of Health condemned it.
No. John, did you have though?
Or is it 91,100?
Yeah.
It is.
I got it.
Okay. Well, I'll just put it here. Oh, I'm sorry.
I get about 2.
91,001.
I've got the narrative, but I didn't bring that.
Oh, okay. Maybe Mark doesn't need it.
most of that increase
realize
is in
we're
the
doing
animal
this by the
control office.
The, yes, it
Yes.
is.
Yeah,
And-
that's,
and that is actually coming out, and there's,
Well, we're still gonna have to pay it somewhere.
yeah, there's a line item in there, and if you want to talk about the animal control officer, we can do that as well, since that is really under John's,
I'd recommend you just leave it in there. It's under my control anyways.
there's,
And
matter.
there is,
Might as
there's
well be
another
there.
line item that, so there's already a, it's not part of your expense. There's a canine control officer expense.
That's the one that we always give back to the town. Every year we have to do an article, and we have to give it back under some 1910 law.
That wasn't a
I don't
dog
think so.
license
Yeah.
money, was it?
I don't know
No.
what it is.
I think it is a dog license money.
That's a dog
Yeah,
license.
that's, yeah,
That's
that's
what half the folks do.
this was the old Montague,
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. As we meet every March or April, the way the contract is set up, the Board of Selectmen sign, we renegotiate what the towns pay. So if it's left in my budget, then there's flexibility for movement. If it's $700 over, it's not a big deal. But we can always address it through the reserve fund if we had to. Because they wanted to meet every June, and I said, you can't do that. How do towns budget for this? So we met at Montague PD before the selectmen signed it. We had to amend the contract or the intermunicipal agreement to meet in March or April, just before town meeting. So the only thing it does by leaving it in my budget is it allows for that flexibility.
it's still part of your budget, it's just another line item, that's
Yeah.
all.
Yep.
It's yours.
Yep.
So what are we on, police salaries or on expense? What are we talking about?
Well,
Whatever you want.
yeah, if you still have questions on the salaries, fine.
What happened with the special events money? It went somewhere else?
Special events money was an account last year that was leftover money from Bobby Worger's salary that I did not want to red flag as part of union negotiations, that we actually left it in there under that line item, and that was eaten up by negotiations. So that way, if the union did an audit of our books, they wouldn't know that that money was there. It looked like it naturally blended.
No, good.
So that's why it should be zeroed
I
out.
shouldn't have asked the question. Should
Yeah.
have kicked me under the table first time.
Can we do it anyways?
Sorry. Yep.
And the crossing guard,
Yep.
you're gonna take that out and put it somewhere else, or is that still gonna stay under your budget?
I would leave it right where it's at. It's
Well,
working fine.
You
It's
get,
working
you
very
get
well.
one crossing guard, and the school has the other crossing guard, right?
School does too. School
Two?
does North
Okay.
Main Street and they do Pleasant Street, and we
Okay,
do
this-
the center of
This is the one
town.
down here in the center
Yes.
of town.
Yep.
And
That has
last year
freed up
Regina
a-
refused to put the third one in.
that has freed up as a police officer doing it, and so it's really
No,
worth it.
no.
Yep.
I'm-
No, it's a good
not
question.
idea. Different ways of doing things.
Yep. I actually asked the school to take it on, and I was given a pretty good no. Yep.
Matter of fact, we ought to throw in the other two in yours, if we can take it out of their budget.
No, thank you.
Why?
It's just more headaches for me, for hiring and
Don't take
maintaining
pressure
people,
off.
and one calls
They-
out sick, and, yeah.
Wait till I tell your mother.
Okay,
No, let's
She's the
just,
reliable one.
I'll move on this budget.
Well, that's true, she probably could deal with it.
One of the selectmen okay it first, or do we okay it?
no, they need to, I think.
Well, no, we're okay.
I'll move that we support police salaries for $679,790 for fiscal year 2015.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, any further questions?
So who's taking minutes? You're taking minutes?
I'll take the minutes on this, yeah, 'cause the only thing it's gonna say is that we voted it. All right, all those in favor of the
Aye.
679,790?
All right.
All those-
One abstention.
We have one abstention.
Note that who it is.
So let's see.
Note that there
Yeah.
was no discussion by me.
2, 3, 4. That's not true.
Yeah, it's kinda hard to say. Wasn't any around
A
this.
lot of talk, a lot
I
of
can,
discussion.
I can talk about everybody else except for my son.
Who is your son anyway?
By personality, you never know. Yep.
If you think he was over at donut shop and wasn't gonna show up?
Oh, stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5,
501, yeah.
John abstained.
Okay. The,
So expenses, you really see only two changes. The radios that we originally purchased back in '07, little by little, are starting to go down. So under new equipment towards the bottom, I went up from $1,000 just to $2,500. So I can try and buy 3 radios a year and start cycling them through.
So where's this one, John?
That's always all the way
Three
towards
from
the
the
bottom.
bottom.
It's maybe 4 lines, 5 lines up from the bottom. You see the 2,500 number?
It went from 1,000 to 2,500.
1,000 to 2,500. So that's really the only $1,500 increase in
Okay.
expenses.
Which
Other-
radios are those?
Plus the
Those are the portable radios.
New equipment is the.
Yeah, yep.
Do they die, or is it a kind of an upgrade?
We've actually started sending them out to the radio repair company. They've stopped transmitting a lot of the microphones are going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they do wear out.
Oh, yeah. Yep. They get banged around quite a bit. Guys getting even in and out of the cruiser. They don't even have to be involved in a fight.
Right.
But, yep, they get banged around quite a bit.
How many do you have? More or less one per?
We have, every full-time guy has their own, and then I have a bank of 4 of them for the part-time guys. But where I want to start doing is saving the old ones, so if we ever have an emergency management incident, they're all the same frequencies. I can hand them to firemen, I can hand them to Board of Health, I can hand them to selectmen, and use those old ones as spares and just migrate the new ones in to the full-time guys, and then, yeah. Yep.
So within a few pennies, this is a 2% increase. Is that?
No, I think if you add the animal control officer in, it's probably more like a 10.
Oh, no, with the animal control, it's 11.64.
Okay, yeah.
But without the animal control
It's
officer,
penny.
it's 2%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, well, it's probably less than 2%.
Well, that's, I think it was 1.5, $1,500 increase, I believe. And that's closing out 2%.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll move to recommend police expense budget of $91,100.
How about if you make it $74,100?
What?
$74,100.
I'd still
You're
leave it
still
in there.
gonna have it somewhere.
Well, you're gonna
Yeah, I'd
take
still leave
animal
it in there.
control out?
Yeah, and put it, well, it'll have a separate line on it.
I would leave it in, yep.
Yeah, why?
I
Why do you
would.
need another line?
Just one more auditing thing to do.
Well, it's another line in the omnibus budget, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you want people to see what it is, then you can
Well,
do it, so.
that may be a way of making sure people know that,
That's.
answering, so they don't ask the question, why does the
Why
police
is the
expense
police up?
budget go up so much?
12%.
That's
Carolyn's going to defend the animal control officer going up 100%.
No, I'll defend it on town meeting, it's fine. It
Well,
is what it
it's
is.
political. Where's Casey? Casey,
I'll be right there.
Sorry.
what do you want,
I mean,
which way you
the
guys
animal
wanna do it?
control officer will be paying for itself.
Oh, I know, I'm
Here.
just, it's just,
Yeah.
you know, politically, which is the better way to do it, and, you know,
I don't think it makes a difference at all, as long as it gets explained at town meeting. Yeah, I mean, somebody just needs to say it increased because of this. This is what we're doing, it's not a big
I
deal.
don't care.
And it's going out of this, I
I
mean,
mean,
most
it's,
people don't.
over
know.
time, we've tried to streamline the omnibus budget a little bit and combine some stuff.
But we already have the account number, that's the point.
I know.
And it's the same, so we're just not.
I mean,
gonna use
it's
it.
up to you guys, because I mean, it's gonna be an increase somewhere. Because
Oh, yeah.
we were paying like $19,000 to Montague, and then we dropped it in half.
I know.
And we've carried the half along.
It's easy, from my perspective,
So this is a
it'd be
full
easier-
year
It would
amount,
be easier to see it as a
separate item.
separate item.
Okay, I mean, it
I
really
don't have
doesn't
any
matter.
problem, sure.
Okay.
But we ought to vote it tonight, so don't forget about
Yes.
it.
Oh, I would. No, we'll vote tonight.
I got one question.
Good.
Gasoline,
Yeah.
do you feel that 32,000 is enough?
Depends, it depends on what month you talk to me. On average, I
How are you
mean,
doing right now for this year?
we run from $2,600 a month right to $3,100 a month on average, and it literally can fluctuate that much. Just between accidents, arrests, depending on the weather, guys will run the cruisers more on the side of the road. It really,
In the winter,
it fluctuates so much. that it's-
mileage is less in the winter, it's better in the summer.
Yep, so I think the good part about having the total in the police budget is it allows you the fluctuation. If you're high in gas, you can take it out of other areas. If you're running good at the end of the year, you may be able to buy 1 or 2 extra radios.
Or
So,
tires even.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I see that 2013 and 14, it went up by 2,000. That's why I was wondering whether the level funding, that 32,000 would be adequate for the next year. And in the last week, gas went up 10 cents, so you never know.
No, and it usually drops in June and July, so it's really hit or miss.
Are you comfortable with this figure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the other one, eventually we will end up talking about the reserve account. And when we do that, I think it would be worth at least discussing increasing that.
Yeah.
Mostly because we are doing, we're trying to hold the line on most of these budgets.
And that was a thought process the last time we increased the reserve, because we were really nervous about having such tight budgets, and that's why we went up.
We put
You know.
60 to 80. There was some discussion with Hap's budget. We put money into reserves and rather than give him
And in fact,
more.
Sean said that, he's running at this point in time, the snow removal part of the budget is up substantially
Yeah.
over what he's
Yeah.
budgeted. So
But on the other
Appropriation
hand,
for that.
he's, some of the other areas
he's got some other areas that he can
they're
take the
doing
money.
better,
from,
so, I mean, we don't really know at the end of the year what it's gonna be, because he returned quite a bit of money last year, and hopefully he can take it out of, he'll have the same return at least.
Mhm.
And,
Well, with snow and ice, you can deficit spend.
yes, so it's not the same.
But you still have to eventually pay for it.
Oh, yeah, but I mean,
You
it
get
doesn't
anything
get
back from the state or not.
It's an extra thing you can do in
Yeah.
the budget.
I know.
So what do you want, a motion to support $84,000?
74,100.
Yeah, 74,100.
Okay, so 74,
1,100.
and you're gonna vote the animal line separately?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you make a
Taking
motion on that,
17,000
Tom,
out.
So, yeah. Is it motion, do we have a second?
I mean,
I'll
that's
make
gonna
a
cost
second
just as
on
much
that.
of a red flag.
Yeah.
What?
It's gonna cost just as much of a red flag. People at town meeting are gonna go, why is $10,000 coming out of
But
expenses?
that is that's the
Yep.
one item you can sit there and say, all of that increase is for the animal control officer.
Yep.
So, okay, we have a motion and a second for 74,100, and that is a 2% increase budget. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I voted on that one.
Okay, so that's a 6-0. 6-0. So I'll entertain a motion,
I'll move that we recommend 17,000 to be appropriated for animal control officer and expenses, I guess. It's not just the item.
I'll second that one.
moved, seconded. Any further discussion?
That's worked out well so far?
Oh, it's working out fantastic.
Oh my God, it's
Yeah, the
so
guy that they
lovely.
have is just so dedicated. He's so quick to respond. He actually deals with problems. Yeah, which is nice.
We're
You
gonna
don't get to
start
repeat
ticketing.
calls over and over and over again. He goes right to the heart of the problem and addresses it. Yeah.
He is gonna start ticketing, so we'll have revenue, but no
And
bad
the-
calls.
and the-
I haven't had one single animal call.
And the
It's worth it.
You know how
the
this
correction
guy is?
people are taking care of the animals and the whole
He
system.
turned around and they wanted to drop off a dog to the animal pound. So they went and tied up a dog to the door to the animal pound. The girls couldn't get in the door. So they sent this guy out, and he went over and said, "Come here," and he grabbed that thing and pulled him, and the dog just listened to him and went meekly along.
Yep.
That's the personality he's got.
Yeah.
He knows how to treat animals. Yeah,
Well,
which-
that was Montague's time, not Deerfield time.
yeah, but the thing is, he knows how to control the
I know,
animals.
I know.
That's the story.
How
Okay.
did you pick that up?
I know the guy.
Well, he picked up snakes, so I'm
And
really
I-
happy about
And
that.
I found out through the Board of
Why
Health.
don't you leave the snakes
And
where
I
they
used to
live?
follow the police department.
Bull constrictor.
You won't make it through the winter here.
He wouldn't make it very far outside, period.
No, he does a nice job. I mean, he's crawled under porches already for us, grabbing possums. I mean, you name it, he'll do it. He's Romanian. Oh, yeah, yeah. And he's just,
Says
So,
Real
so
nice guy.
how is that relevant?
We don't need to have.
He's old country, hard-working boy shot.
Okay,
The
all
first
right.
chief I worked for had some comments similar to that and caused all kinds of problems, so I would probably steer away from that one. Skrosky.
All those in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Anybody opposed? It's 6-0. All right. If I can find the,
I'm gonna go from there, remember the building inspector?
no,
No,
we're not
I
ready
think
to the
so.
building inspector.
Yeah, we haven't, we gotta sort out that one.
Is Casey here?
Yeah, she's talking to.
Oh, she's still, okay.
What else you need me for?
We don't.
Do you want to talk about any of the capital stuff, or you want to leave that alone?
No, we're gonna leave that
We
one.
haven't done capital.
Okay.
We're waiting to see how much money we got.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Don't have any money, so don't worry about it.
We could use a couple of copies, though.
I'm easy.
No, I put off capital because, you know, we have yet to come in with figures of potential income, and so, and we haven't looked at the total budget overall and see what we're gonna have available.
And I, you know,
We
it might be
should, but we
something-
should prioritize things, but whether we actually say, well, this is what we're gonna do now.
Or we wait till fall like we did last year.
Yeah,
For the whole thing?
Well, we're not
Probably
talking
have to
about
wait
very
till
much.
fall, because you won't have the money.
You want
The
to-
big thing's gonna be, if we're gonna go for 2.5 override, or we're gonna spend down our thing, or we're gonna change our philosophy of management.
There you go. I picked number 3.
Well, that's why I said, as a temporary thing, we could do that.
yeah.
But I'd rather tackle that than a 2.5 override.
Well, it just doesn't make sense for us to have a meeting and then have,
Well, it's a good idea to talk about it, but you can't
Absolutely.
say we're gonna spend $100,000 when you need that $100,000 to balance your budget.
That's right.
How's everything looking overall right now?
We're really not sure, because we don't have all of the budget figures plowed in there, and all the other income side, so.
We don't know what our estimated receipts are.
Well, we just got a thing today telling us how much they've collected, and we're behind on a lot of it. A lot of it comes in later.
Oh, yeah, that, but I mean, what, you know,
Janet usually does the projections, and usually she's phenomenal.
Yeah,
And
she
she's
is.
still around. She's still here once in a while and working on stuff.
yeah,
It's,
she's
yeah.
helping me.
hopefully they can get something to us, so we know.
Yeah.
It's just really hard.
That's why I was wondering if you guys actually had a summary to date. Somebody, I mean, April's approaching pretty quick.
no,
Oh, yeah.
within the next 2 weeks, we
Seems
should
like a
have.
conversation Carolyn and I had 8 weeks ago.
I know, John,
It's making me as nervous as everybody else.
I know.
Yep.
Well, that's why we're talking about the schools, because a lot of schools are, you know, not coming in.
Okay, so what else, what's your next item?
Well, the only, I really wanted to see if,
Can we get this from today?
Yeah,
Oh, that one,
yeah.
That's,
yeah,
that's eight,
those
well,
are,
2/3 of the year.
Right.
Yeah, well, usually Janet and Bernie would get together and they would come up with fiscal year 15 projections where they thought revenue would, and they usually downplayed it a little bit, so we were always on the safe side. And it would be nice if maybe, when Janet's in helping Brenda out, if she could help us out with those.
we have some, but there are other ones that we don't have.
Yep.
So that's the issue.
I mean, the good part is we still have Mary around. That's where all the numbers came from, those two.
The school committee, the Frontier is meeting next, is it next Tuesday?
Tuesday
The,
at 6.
o'clock.
At 6.
I'm
At
not gonna
6.
be available.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll be out with the area.
and,
I was planning on going. Are you planning on?
yes.
Okay.
And we're meeting, I mentioned to Casey that to set up meetings for the finance committee every Tuesday from here until the end of the month. At 7 o'clock. We've got a couple of, and, you know, do we have any idea what the budget is, when we'll see a budget for the ambulance service?
I believe they spoke about just level funding it with the same numbers.
Yeah. That was the plan. There's gonna be, obviously, money that was appropriated this year that's not gonna be expended, but I mean,
But that's, yeah, but that comes back to,
That comes back
That
on
would be free cash.
free cash.
yeah.
Yeah, but that kinda bothers me, because EMS expense, original budget was 109,386. And from what it shows is, we spent all of it already.
I saw
Why are
that.
we spending all
That's
that?
just-
I thought we were gonna save half. So you're not gonna put in free cash if you've already spent
Yeah,
it.
you've used it all.
the,
Here's it all.
the receipts at this point, the receipts are still coming to the town of Deerfield.
That's what they're using.
Yeah, but
Well,
also
we're
the
still
total budget
operating
was
our-
$109,000,
Well, they're
and
still
it's already
operating
spent.
on ambulance, that's why.
Yeah. so-
But I don't know how much, do we have the receipts? Where do they come? Do they come into the same account?
I have no idea, all I know is it says EMS expense
Yeah, there's no dollars.
for the year, almost 110,000, and my question, why did they spend all of the 110,000 already? I
Because
thought
they-
they're supposed to use ambulance receipts first.
First?
First,
Oh, I didn't know that, all right.
absolutely, you don't spend the money appropriated.
You'd
That's supposed to
normally,
be
yeah.
spent last.
That's not the ambulance budget. The ambulance budget is over $200,000.
This is the money the town
It
appropriates.
says EMS expense,
There is
Right,
another
but
one.
Oh,
that's
that-
just for EMS, that's
Yeah.
not for the South County EMS.
that's right.
There
That
is
South
no
County's
such thing yet, is there?
255,000.
I was talking about the South County EMS that was appropriated by the,
According to this, they haven't spent a cent yet.
no, they haven't, and they're not going
Because
to.
they don't exist yet.
Yeah, it's-
I thought we voted to bring them into existence.
We did, but
What they-
not until a director is
it
in
had-
place
yeah.
will they start looking at expending the funds. And there's a lot of things they can't expend funds on until after the April 1st date, I think, because of the state
Grant.
grant.
And has the
So we have
ambulance
to be
ever
careful with
been?
that, because we can't spend money that the grant is designed
It's
for,
covered,
because they
yeah.
won't reimburse us for it, if we spend it
I'm
before.
pretty sure, no, I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure that Casey's, we can verify with Casey, but I think the paperwork is on track. And
Mhm.
if we submit it by mid-March, then they will release the money April 1st. So instead of spending the money that we voted on at town meeting,
255,000, yeah.
we will
Well-
be expending the grant money. But we can't really expend the grant money until we get the paperwork submitted in mid-March for the release of April 1st, which is, the timeline of the grant. But it's okay because the ambulance isn't ready. I mean, we don't have a director on board and,
Right.
The
right,
ambulance been
Right.
certified?
we have the,
The license has been issued, but we don't have our drug license yet.
Oh,
Why, you take drugs?
well, you have to be able to administer the,
Yeah, I don't want to see.
oh, okay.
Driving more and more.
Well, I talked with Casey well, we went to let's say a month and a half ago, we went to a training session in Greenfield, for COG put on, and she's talking about setting up a
Enterprise.
enterprise fund for this, and that's one of the things.
Yeah,
She
And
and
that,
Brenda were working on.
and that is actually on track, they've got the ruling from the DOR on that it can be a standalone enterprise fund, so that it will not affect the town of Deerfield as a fiscal agent, their workman's comp, retirement, and those accounts.
Yeah.
So it'll be standalone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. That's
good.
what it ought to be.
So if you guys go
At
back,
some point, you have to vote it, but it can be voted at either a special or an annual town meeting.
if you go back 3
Go
more
into effect
pages, it's
before.
on there.
On the revenues here.
Yeah, it's under line item 251 under ambulance services. That's the revolving account, and that's the balance that's in the revolving account to date. That's where they collect receipts in. So part of their
And children have, February 15th.
part of their expenses comes out of there, part of it comes out of town budget. Looks like there's about 98,000 still in there.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen to the ambulance replacement money that we voted for the last several years? You got 95,000, is that gonna be rolled over into free cash?
I think, I think it has to be voted.
I'd like
Yeah.
to see the details on how this is gonna happen, yeah. I mean, the other thing
Well, if
about
we're
it,
voting, we've already voted 255,000 for a half a year, and that's supposed to include budgeting for an
Capital.
ambulance. That means that the
Probably.
ambulance that we funded for the last 4 years, we should be able to take and zero out and put in free cash.
Right.
yeah,
It will-
I would say so.
It
think
will
that's
go
the
back,
plan.
it will come back as free
Do you
cash.
have to vote it?
But we have to vote it, and it has to be I want it to be a recommendation of the capital improvement committee.
Yeah, you could put it in free cash, or you could use it towards snow removal, towards balancing Sean's budget at year end. I mean,
Well, yeah, but that-
and that way you're not waiting.
Actually,
No, that's
he's
enough.
actually has funds that
No,
probably would do that.
he's authorized to overexpend the budget anyway by state law.
You can deficit
One of
spend.
the only things you could do.
Yeah, but you gotta balance it out at year end.
He'll
Right,
enough,
yeah.
you turn back off
Gets
enough
too
last
messy,
year, and he'll
transfer.
turn back again
He
enough.
said he's got money in the,
No, it was appropriated at the town
Transfer
meeting for this, you know, and we really should take it out and change it at town meeting.
You just take it out of the police budget.
Does anybody want to talk about Franklin County Tech School?
Sure.
I haven't studied it yet, but
I have not studied it either, and it's up 5%, or 5 and change.
it is.
Yes.
We
Their,
have
their
an-
budget, their budget itself is up 5-something%.
We have an additional student. You want to-
And I don't know that,
We have additional students.
Do you have additional students?
Yeah, one, I think there's one additional student. So that's part of the increase.
I know that I've checked their budget for the last 15, 20 years, and I've never had a problem with the tech school budget.
There were, I'm trying to find it, there were a couple of things they talked about how they were going up and why.
Skip, you guys don't need me, do you?
No, thanks.
All right, no
Thanks for
problem.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here.
Next year they're there, they don't
Well,
have shoes.
I'm always around, yeah.
Have a good one, John.
thanks, John.
Thank you, John. Because, you know, we don't have to pay if it's a course that's offered.
Right, but they choose a course that they want to take that isn't at Franklin Tech. But the problem is, the first year at
They don't have to.
they don't have to choose
You guys
anything.
passed this out
Well, we
last
should
week.
find
Mine
that out.
isn't
We
here.
should not be
I'll
paying
have that.
Oh,
for first year.
I thought that,
yeah, it's-
Yeah, it's not, it's not in
Yeah,
there. It's not in
Picked
there.
mine up in there, I believe.
You sure you don't?
No? Do you think you gave it to me?
No, I don't think it was in that pack.
They didn't put it in your budget.
Did you get that Frank Blue one? That was, might be mixed in.
Tom, let me find
Don't
it.
worry, I'll look on the bill. That's fine.
I did go through this.
I
but
need
I
a
didn't
29.
mark.
But I, you know, they've always done a good job.
Yeah.
I said, 2 years ago, we had 20 up here, or in Deerfield, we had 21.
Yeah, the figure that they're looking for,
Oh, they're putting 4 portable classrooms out. They're getting added.
We're looking for $332,849.
and that's a 9% increase.
That's 9.02%. And the overall enrollment change is 5% because we got one more student, 20 to 21.
Do you notice that's over a 3-day period too? From October 10th to October 11th, it went down 3, and then it went down 1 more on October 12th, another
They
13.
fall real quick.
Oh, my God.
You guys. Now I have the budget here somewhere.
It's a big,
Ah.
big
It
problem.
looks like
I
this.
know.
Software, they're doing a lot of hardware and software stuff. This is a big one. Repair, replace.
Well, they just put that fiber optic line down through, that's through the whole right to the school. And that's what collapsed their sewer, but that's beside me.
Let's see, who was our representative to Frank County Tech? Isn't that Vern Harrington?
Yes.
We ought to have Vern Harrington come in here and give us a briefing.
Do you want to do that, or do you want to vote it?
I'd rather vote it.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, we
If
should,
they got us on live TV, we can invite them down right now.
Come
well,
on down.
Actually,
shouldn't we be
last
talking
year our
about
enrollment
it?
was 23, and this year, it'll be 20, it's 21.
Because, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's up
over,
1.
it's over 2%.
That's fiscal 13, isn't it? And then the one that they showed here, the new net,
The October 13, that's what it's based on. You know, that's October 1st,
I know,
and of
but what I'm saying
2013.
is, and then this is the, oh, they've just got the wrong numbers in here, that's all. It says 23 here, no, 21, sorry. Scratch that.
And I I guess we use the October 1 enrollment figures for the
Yeah.
budget period.
Right.
The enrollment's probably too.
Hmm?
For Montague, the enrollment's went down.
There's-
8%. The one that really went down was Buffalo,
Yeah.
from 14 to 9.
That's good, look how it went up. That's a lot for a small.
The shares, from 24 to 33 in 4 years. That's a killer. They're actually more than they are. Okay, so if, I can't answer any questions on this budget, and so if you'd like to vote it, somebody make a motion.
I make a motion that we authorize the expenditure of $332,849 for fiscal year 15 assessment for Kern County Tech School.
Been moved,
I'll second.
seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Harry? Okay.
On that budget that we got. Do you want to tackle any others?
I was wondering where Casey was. Is she still out there talking?
I'm right here listening.
Oh, okay.
Come on in.
Casey.
Come on down.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. Yeah.
Here.
Are there any budgets in here that you want to take up tonight?
I was just looking at
Little
them.
simple ones that we can get out of the way.
Well,
Like the moderator?
Yeah.
We
I
already
thought you
did
guys
that.
already voted that one.
Did we vote that one?
Yeah.
That was part of the
We
package.
did the selectman's salary too.
That way they wouldn't get a raise.
That's right.
There was one I wanted to look at. We got a request from the recreation department to add a budget item, an expense item. And the budget number is 634. It's back here. I just wanted you to take a look at that.
That one that was in our box, Casey?
Which, where do they want to add it?
Well, they used to have an expense item, and it was, the upkeep and programs were put through on their
Revolving fund.
revolving fund.
And we made a deal that we would pay the salary if they pay the expenses.
Right, and this, basically this expense, it reflects, they have a change in maintenance. The majority of that budget is a change in maintenance. And it
It's
helps.
634,
51 something?
5800.
5800, yeah.
Here, oh, you have that?
632.
Yeah. She has it.
This is our explanation.
So they're asking for $6,300. Is
Yes.
that what they're asking for?
That's what they're asking for.
And previously, this money came out of their fees.
The majority of it did, yes.
How much money do they have in savings?
Not a lot, that's why she put it through. They've expended a lot of that account down.
Well, at one time they had over 30,000, that's why I was wondering what they have left in there now.
I don't have the fund account, unfortunately.
Oh, I think they're here. We've got them in those.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
probably
but
just
but that
came.
doesn't show, that just shows.
So, you take a look at it, certainly review it for next time, but it was one of the ones that's, it's a small increase, but because it's an item that hadn't been funded before, I wanted to bring that to your attention. The other ones, now, I missed part of this. What else have you voted? You just voted?
We
right
voted
now?
the three police items.
Okay.
and we voted tech school budget.
And it was the
They
creation of
voted,
K-9.
they voted, the police expense
Yep.
minus the animal control. They voted separately the
Made
animal
that a
control.
separate line item for animal control.
So it's standing by itself, but it was approved,
And
as
so-
well as the salaries.
Okay. Was there anything you were looking at? Because we had Skip and I sat down and met yesterday.
No, there was nothing that, you get too many unknowns in here.
Right, you didn't have it?
Well, you've got recreation department gifts of $9,000, you've got youth baseball gifts of $15,000.
So she
The
has
recreation
expended
revolving
quite a bit of-
fund is $15,000.
That's the fund that has
It
gone.
had been 29,000 a year ago, or when it started the year.
She's just signing up for classes now.
Yeah.
She's signing up now right now for like baseball, soccer, I don't know what.
Baseball.
Baseball, oh, well. I knew they were signing up.
One of those balls.
So that's gonna increase considerably. You got that, and you got soccer, swimming.
She does have an explanation, because she put the narrative in, so the explanation will be there.
Well, I guess it's changing our policy of where we pay the salaries and they cover the expenses. We have to start covering expenses too.
But the unfortunate thing is, it's a tough year to do it.
Yes.
Would you like to have Sue come in and
Ms. Rocky?
So is that, we do
That's
want Sue,
one.
we do want Sue to come in? Actually, we got the planning board that we can do. Get that
Planning
in.
board increased by $200,
2%.
2%.
We could cut them back.
That's what you asked?
I know.
Yeah,
Not to exceed,
and they didn't.
if necessary.
They didn't.
Have they spent anything out of their budget yet?
Yes, they have. Technical assistance.
All right,
They have various projects they've been working on in terms of zoning bylaws, and which they've utilized a portion of that budget for technical assistance.
any questions on the planning board budget?
No.
Okay. Somebody want to move it?
A little bit. Vote. $10,200.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second that.
Moved, seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? None? Okay. So we voted that one. Casey.
Okay.
John, can you give us an update on the FERCog budget, or Casey and John?
Yes, it's going up this year.
Thank you.
And the reason it's going up is because you have a regional service assessment and you have a statutory assessment. And the FERCog used last year something like $45,000 to supplement the budget and keep it in line. This year, the finance committee up there voted to only take half of it that they did last year and support it because there was another large increase. Because they can't afford to keep doing that.
Yeah.
So because of that, the budget is going up and it's in the statutory part. And, The FERCog is using $25,371 of free cash to lessen the impact of this assessment to towns and has approximately $100,000 left of free cash since fiscal year 12. The fiscal year budget assumes legislation to transfer the FERCog employees to the Mass State Retirement System, which would eliminate the portion of the assessment that is associated. We filed legislation to have the state take over the statutory assessment. And it looks like it's got a good chance of passing this year, but if it passes this year, it won't become effective for at least a year. That's the issue. So it's going up this year, and the reason it's going up is because the COG does not have that much free cash that they can put in to try and balance the budget again. There have been no major increases in the COG budget for like 8 or 10 years now. It's pretty well level funded. And they've got to start going up to 2.5% increase because they've cut staff and cut staff and cut staff, and they're at the point that you go up there sometimes they don't even have a secretary in front. That's how much they're cutting.
So what is the actual assessment that we've got?
My understanding is it's $52,424.
52 or 54,000?
$52,424.
Okay, 52,424. And that's comprised of two pieces, the statutory piece?
The regional services and the statutory assessment. One is $29,173 for the regional services, and the statutory is $23,251. And the total between the two of them is $52,424.
All right. Any other questions on this?
So I'll move that budget.
Budget number is 830, something like 834.
We can flip that one.
No, there isn't.
Yeah. It's nearly the last thing in there. I thought I saw it
There's
here
more.
someplace. I'll tell you what, right.
No paper.
That's basically just to keep the line item open, because the state doesn't charge us yet for it.
It's here.
Huh?
I can't find
I
my.
can use it.
That's the updated, that's what I have printed
No, I
out.
meant for the FERCog.
Oh, yes.
So, this thing, it's in here. Hello? So the FERCog budget, $52,424. Can I have a motion on that?
I just made the motion.
Oh, can I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I would just point out also the total, the assessment from before, in fiscal year '96 was $54,000, which is $2,000 more.
Yeah.
And in '97 it was $48,000. It's been going down consistently until all of a sudden they just started that. They couldn't afford to keep giving any more free cash to their.
No, they give us good service.
They get excellent service.
So we voted the FERCog budget.
So you approve that? The numbers at the top.
Yeah,
But it's not in here.
but it's right here.
I know, but it's not, there's no separate
Yeah, no, I
page.
didn't see it.
Are we voting the MSA next?
MSA?
Medical
Yes,
security
we are.
$50.
All those in,
Aye.
who's the motion?
Motion?
Second?
Moved, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Voted. 5-0, 6-0.
I'm not sure where I'm supposed to put this one. I
Which
guess
one?
I'm putting under Mary, or Barbara's department.
Which one?
There's a
There's
couple
no-
sections for treasurer, collector, and clerk budget, so.
The medical
Oh,
security.
put it under the number.
You wanna go to South County Senior Center?
Right in the back.
Okay,
South County Senior
Yeah,
Center,
let's
they're going
go.
up 1.08%.
yes, let's do the.
What number is that?
That's 001,
541.
541, 5420.
How did I get this?
And we already voted that.
Is that how you did it?
Yeah. On
Look at this, I've got
February
trying to
4th.
put into this. I already had it. Man. wasn't more effective than I thought. All right.
At the next meeting, who would you like to see in here?
How about highway?
Sounds good to me, and I think Sean said that would be all right with him.
Yeah, here next week.
What's that?
We're doing Frontier next week, but that's at 6.
Yeah,
That's
that's
at
what
six.
Yes, the next, he's not here.
What I was gonna say is that the reason you don't have his budgets, he had them set, but when he went back and looked at the numbers he has now, he wants to review because his snow and ice has far
Yeah.
exceeded what was budgeted.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I just,
Show him sharpen his pencil.
Yes, yes.
we're working on it,
We're working on it, good.
which is,
Will
I
he be
know
ready
nobody
next
likes
week?
that
Have any
answer,
of
but
his
that's the
budgets?
answer we
He'll,
have.
Yes.
he'll be ready next week. He said he
Should
would
be,
be.
yes. I asked him, I've asked him,
Everything is less than 2% or less.
I think
Snow and ice
we
is
wanted
always a
to
thing
adjust.
we wonder about. We were doing this with half one time after we got burned one year, and he said, no, leave it alone. And most year it works out, and one every 6 or 8 years, we have to vote more money for it.
And we've just had a rotten winter that's,
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
you
it's
just
historical, it's not done.
keep our fingers
I was
crossed.
hoping we're going into global warming so we wouldn't have to invite the polar bears back.
yeah, it doesn't seem like we're getting a little.
We had global warming last year though.
Thank you, Ralph.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Please say
Hi,
hi.
Ralph.
I will, yeah, thank you.
Tell her I'm sorry. Oh, she fell.
Just now?
No,
No, a couple, 3 weeks ago.
so she's hurt.
I'll talk on the TV.
What else?
What,
How,
Well, we need, thing in Casey's here, we need, to me, my viewpoint, we need a real good rough estimate, conservative of what our income is gonna be.
well, I was working on that
Yeah.
before you guys came in.
So we know how much we've got to,
What I
Back
don't
into it.
have, and I'll show it.
do you want, yeah,
Did you guys do the historic commission?
no,
Pardon?
how much is it?
It's a negative 15%.
really?
We gotta take more away.
What is it now?
And they're going from 1975 to 1675.
Who is?
The historic commission.
Didn't they have an ongoing multi-year thing for the
What's the
cemeteries?
Well, that's,
That's their,
That's
CPA.
CPA.
Oh,
Right.
that's right.
what's their account number?
691. 691.
And then there's that
No, I don't have
architectural
the new one.
study of South Deerfield going.
You don't have, well, what is it? 691. Oh, it's
Towards the back.
1675 is what they're looking for. Their expenses are the same, except the photo supplies, they're going from 300 to 400, they're going up. Conferences is 300 to 400. But then they're zeroing out transcription services, zeroing out Central Village Survey, and some photo supplies. And the gravestone cleaning signs are going up to 300.
This is in addition to the CPA?
Yes, the CPA is
Yeah.
separate, and that's a contracted service. This is just for their
That's just
committee,
their operating
their
expense.
little committee,
So it's 1675?
yes.
Sure, why
It's a decrease of $300.
not? So make a motion?
Carol will take it. No,
No,
she's
I'm
not on the
not.
finance.
Nice. Was that,
He was trying.
we,
I'll make it, I'll move 1675 recommended for historical commission expense.
Second.
let's go seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's voted 6-0, 5-0.
Oh, yeah, 5. Sorry, the other 6. Okay.
Bless you, dude.
Do you want Tilton Library to come in?
Yes, I'd like to find out what they're trying to build.
An empire.
I heard that they've got a contract out there where they've put out bids to put an addition on or something, so I wanna know what's going on.
What? Yeah.
One of
No,
the
that would
contractors
have to
I was
come through
working
the
with,
office.
told me I had to leave early, wanted to know where the library was, and I said, why is that? He said, I gotta go pick up the bid spec because the library's doing some work over there. They want to put it on addition or something. I said, where are they getting the money?
Where they get the land.
Well, they got the land out there because the town owns all that. But it's the idea, I just wanna know what's going on.
So are you gonna invite them next week, or are you gonna do it the week after?
Yeah, could we, let's do that.
When do you want them to come in? 'Cause we need to let them know.
Probably
8
the week
o'clock.
after next.
Week after next, or
When
next
are you, when are you going away someplace?
I'm going, like the first 3 weeks of April.
Oh, okay.
Jeez, John, you're always
right
on
before
vacation.
town meeting?
Just before town meeting, so when I come back, you guys gotta figure out the 2.5. We'll wait for you.
Jeez, John, you think you were retired or something?
I'm trying to be. I'm practicing
He's
for
trying,
retirement.
yeah, that's it, he's
I'm
practicing.
practicing for retirement.
What
Doing
number
a
is
good
the total
job with it.
library? You guys, what number is the account? Oh, wait a minute, I found it. 610, okay.
460 in retirement here, 451. 460, that's right.
That's, you know, that's what happens.
5,300 increase.
It's everybody's fault, it's just the way we use our phones.
So, if we've got Frontier next week at 6.
Yep.
Is it 6 or
Aren't you
5:30?
going at
Six.
6?
Six.
You're going over there, right? And then
Yes.
coming back for 7 o'clock?
And then we're coming back.
You sure you're gonna be here by 7?
Or do you
No,
want
but we're hopeful.
to? Do we want to move it to 7:30 or something like that? I don't want to invite somebody here for 7 o'clock and not show up until
Yeah,
8.
have them wait.
Yeah.
And I think you ought to spend your time over there while they're.
Mm-hmm.
What we should do is invite them back here like we did to the elementary school and say, the elementary school can do a 2% budget, why can't you?
Well, they would.
Well, you can set up a meeting.
Sure, but
They
isn't
actually
this
are
a
under the
public
elementary
hearing type thing?
This is their public hearing.
It's
You're
their
under?
public hearing, so that's why they do it.
2.6% for the budget.
For Frontier?
Yes.
Yeah, but what's Deerfield
What's
share?
Deerfield's share? I don't believe is 2.6. So it's not, but I don't know where
It
it
was
is.
6.7.
Well, that's the
7%.
formula mumbo jumbo that we always.
But the whole thing is 2.6 and I can't argue too
Right.
much.
It's not 2.6 though for Deerfield.
No, but if the entire budget is 2.6, depending on, I don't know what the enrollment figures are. I have not looked at it.
2.6 is still 2.6 above last year. That's at 0% budgeting,
Yes.
100, where they start with 0%, and then they turn around and say, well, the 0 is really 100%, now we add 2.6. They call that creative financing.
They're good at it. They should teach us.
If they're only going up 2.6, I can't argue no matter what
No,
our percentage is.
2.74.
Well,
But we'll go listen to them anyway.
No, Deerfield share is 16, 6 something.
6.7.
6.7, yeah.
Yeah, 6.
Alright. So how do you wanna schedule this out, Skip? How do you all wanna deal with this for next week? Do you wanna post your meeting for 7:30?
To be safe, I'd say we should go with 7:30.
7:30?
Yeah.
Alright, so post for 7:30.
But, and not have anybody in here until 8 o'clock.
Who do you
Then we
want?
can,
Sean.
Sean to start
The
with.
rates have not changed.
How long do you expect to spend?
With
Sean?
Sean,
That's that's,
probably 45 minutes.
okay, so keep in mind about 9 o'clock people lose their ability to vote.
Yeah, she's not gonna.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, so we have,
So, Sean, did you wanna talk to Sue next week? I don't know what her schedule is, I'd have to check with her.
Okay.
Or do
yeah,
you
why
wanna
don't
put that on for?
why don't we do Sue next week
That's
also?
kind of the total.
And
Sorry.
she can come in first or
But it still shouldn't be that much.
last, it's up to her.
Well, depending on what you get, when you get back, you guys could adjust.
Because that would, that part of it shouldn't take very long, one way or the other.
Well, it sounds to me like you want her to tell you what it is,
28.
Yeah,
that expense account is.
why they can't fund that part of it themselves.
So do you wanna have her at 8 o'clock and Sean at 8:15?
Yes.
Weather dependent.
That could be just people deciding to go.
Whether we have weather or not,
2 people is not a big deal. 2 people increase. Maybe we should be looking at some of the things that we could have questions on.
I was just gonna say, that was my next question. I have questions out, like I said, Skip and I had met yesterday. I have sent a couple questions out to various groups so that I have I don't have answers on a couple things. And Mary, it's actually, Gatsby was one of those questions. We funded Gatsby 45 line for $8,000. Is that a 3-year funding?
I think it is.
Okay, so we don't have to fund that next year? Okay, because that was one of my questions.
Yeah.
Why is the school committee going up from 17,000 to 23,000?
What?
That's one of the questions.
Okay. On your budget.
Who, Frontier?
Yeah. School committee expense is going from 17,816 to 23,800.
What are the line items? What are the line items?
It's the first.
It's the first line. Central office is up.
Legal services.
Skip and I
Legal
discussed
services are up
legal
2,000, yeah, legal services are up 2,000, school committee expenses are up 4,000. And I'm not sure what that is all about, but certainly can ask that question.
Well, that's quite a jump for.
From
Central-
from
it's-
$1,500 to $5,550.
Central office is up quite a bit.
So you know what you could do, Skip? You want to highlight the ones that you guys have.
This one.
It'll help focus your discussion
Mhm.
if you're gonna talk to them next week. I can give you a highlighter if you want. I have
Now,
those.
and principals, now the principal's office went down. Did something change from the principals to the central office?
Oh, the principal changed.
Yeah, but
Because, yeah. And Marty.
yeah, the same. But the central office shouldn't have jumped up to give it to Regina to Marty. So you should have had it seen
You
it
should have
cut.
gone down.
You should have got it down because Regina was at the top end.
Salary of the superintendent is up.
Is that what they said?
Well, because this is her, it's up $2,000.
But she's still not as far as Regina was 2
But
years
it's
ago.
down 3,000 from where Regina was.
Right. So why is central office up? It
If you,
went from
By
30,
30,000.
it went up,
yeah, I was gonna say, open your budget, you've got, at least to some extent.
well, I was looking at this one. Don't you have this spreadsheet? Do you have this spreadsheet? Or you're looking at that spreadsheet, okay.
And it tells you the particular line items that are affected,
Okay.
at least to some extent.
I was just looking at this one.
Contracted services are up $6,000, and they're up $11,000 from 2013 to 2015, so 2 years it seems to be up. Mary, I'm guessing that you're in working with Barbara on some of the budgets for hers. Are those gonna be,
She's got
We
some of them
finished,
done.
we finished them, I think, today.
okay,
Yeah, she had some of them done, but she had a couple things that she
Mhm.
wanted to work on with Mary, so I was just waiting to see.
so week after next?
I would
The
think,
18th?
Yeah, she's ready, they're all ready to be applied.
Okay.
Yeah. So, do you wanna talk to Sarah on the 18th? I just hesitate to have you book
Yeah,
too much
no.
on the 11th because it's
Yeah.
gonna be a late meeting anyway.
Yeah.
Do you wanna talk to Sarah first?
Sure.
Alright, so what time do you wanna do that?
7
7:15?
o'clock.
7 o'clock.
That means we're gonna get out of Frontier.
No,
Yeah,
it's the
This
week
is the week
after.
Oh, week
The
after.
week after.
Like you
Okay.
said, okay. Do you wanna talk to Barb on the 18th as well?
Yes.
Um,
And who are we missing for large budgets at that point in time?
Large budgets?
We should have pretty much, that's everybody.
we should have most of them.
And then,
Brenda went back and was looking at her budgets again, so conceivably, if she can make that date, do you wanna talk to her as well? It's not a huge deal, but she wanted to review the numbers?
That'd be fine.
Or do you just need to look at
No,
the budget?
no, she might, no, we'd like to talk with her.
Okay. Is 15-minute increments okay?
I
do you
would
want
think we'd need more on the towns, because that includes, I'm going to assume that includes debt.
That's gonna take a good half an hour.
Well, you already had the numbers.
We've got the numbers on that.
Those don't change. I mean, we're required to pay them.
That was what you explained at the couple meetings ago, right?
Well, we talked a little bit about it. There's a what, $500,000 one year? Approximately $500,000 for the garage that first year.
I don't know, we were looking at that today, I'm not so sure about that. That was one of the questions we had.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get pretty well versed in that, to make sure we're fully accurate on this.
The interest was up there, but the principal is still gonna be $245.
That's right. Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
interest is 18 months.
There's 18 months of interest, and I'm not sure why, but it's whatever
Well,
it is.
because they didn't want it in this fiscal year,
Yeah.
because we didn't budget.
Okay.
That's why that's the way it is.
Yeah, I didn't have the money to pay it, so I'm gonna put it all in one.
It's just what it is.
Okay.
All right, so the next two meetings, I have 2 and 3 people scheduled. What do you wanna do for the last week, the 25th? Anything else that comes through? I mean,
Well, you may have to put some of them off if
Right.
people can't get here, or
and in Sean's case, it's weather dependent.
Well,
Tell them to make sure that there's no snow next week.
I can try.
well, we get towards the end of March.
You can have the
Yeah,
snow
okay.
on Monday, or you can have the
Sean,
snow
if
on
it snows,
Wednesday.
he can
That's
be
it.
excused from the highway garage and come here.
But are we doing an open house when the garage is online?
we will do something.
I actually talked to Ralph about
Once the
that. I
weather
think
gets
that
better.
he wants to talk to the committee a bit, so,
We'll do something.
yeah, they're gonna do something, it's just a question of when.
I'm on
Very-
the committee.
And they'll come back to us and I'm sure ask us for some.
You probably will not wanna do anything until the job is totally done.
Right,
And there are some projects, part of the projects that will not be done for another 30 days, even though we'll hit substantial completion before March 31st.
and you do
I
wanna give
also-
that,
I also
Spring,
want-
late spring would probably be the
Yeah.
ideal time.
And I also wanna make sure that we have some landscaping done and stuff like that. I mean, there's some changes to the landscaping plan that we're gonna do, so, and it would be
That
nice
needs
to
to be
have.
fall time.
No, it's still
Well-
gonna be spring, it's just not gonna be like next month.
well, the other thing you want is you want a good turnout for people to come see the facility.
You want it to be pleasant.
And I
Yeah.
think, I'm sure they'll take that into account.
You don't want a lot of mud on the ground.
No, well,
Oh, I'm afraid of mud season.
I think we ought to have a town meeting over there and just.
I'd rather turn around and
and
do it
have to
and
do
make
everything at
sure,
once.
see how much money we can give back to the town, because we didn't spend all that money,
Well, you're not done
and
yet.
I don't wanna spend all that money.
You think you're
Well, we
gonna have
also
money
need
to get
systems.
back?
We need to
Yes,
have the
They're not
system.
done yet.
I know, we're not
To get
done
in there
yet,
and
but
get the
it's
building
on
running.
time
Get
and
them
under
going,
budget.
that's right, that's why I say, so it may be a summertime thing before we do it.
Yeah, let's not push it, let's make
At
it
least sometime when you can open all the
get
doors.
done.
Yeah,
So
And not wear
aren't you
them.
gonna have something over there gold plated if you have money left over to go with the?
No, we'll go
No,
planning, we're
we're
to give
bringing
it
the
back
money
to the
back.
town.
but there is gonna be some landscaping changes in the sense that they had like birch trees, and so for a few extra dollars, we're gonna have more, you know.
Kind of oak
The
trees.
building, yes, because the
Something
building
that'll
is a
last longer
50
than
to,
birches.
Yeah,
right.
birch
The
will-
Bridges don't hold up.
I know, but you know, we have a 50 to 100-year building, we need to have 50 to 100-year landscaping at least. So in other
Well,
words, we're not
we
putting
don't want
birch-
trees that are 100 years, 50 years old, because then they'll have to cut them down.
No, well, we just don't want birches that are gonna have to fall down. in
Make sure they're
15
salt
years.
tolerant, so
I
they
know.
don't, they got the
I mean,
leaching
I
out of the
just-
salt shed.
And we have a rain garden instead of retention pond, so, you know, that, we're trying to do stuff nicely.
Maybe we could have some apple trees and orange trees and something like that, where people could pick fruit because of the expense that it's
We'd
gonna
have to have a
cost.
committee formed to
Yeah,
We
no,
have a Ricky
to
card.
dole out the fruit, I mean.
Oh,
no, it's just that the
should
landscaping
have. Be the chair.
plan is a typical architect's rendering, and that's not what we want. We want something that will last longer, and so there will be a little bit of change, not a lot.
Gonna plant some hemlocks, huh?
No, we're gonna have nice.
I'll give you all the free
Actually,
hemlocks
Ralph
you
has a
want.
good suggestion of a tree, and I forget what it was, but something, and I did a little research on it. Look, you know, sound-
Get some elm trees, that'd be good.
Well, we have a,
Well, there are resistant.
we have a tree warden, have him get, tell you what we gotta be doing.
Where's Milt when you need him?
Poor Milt.
I know.
Could have him.
Yeah, I
He's
know,
giving you
everybody
5
misses
options.
Milt.
Put them in for you.
Who is the tree warden?
That was absorbed into the highway work.
The highway-
Jay,
Something.
Remember last year, they
Miller
wanted to go
does
from
most
a
of it.
$1,000 budget and turn around and put it into their department, so they take the 1,000, and now they wanna give them a $1,500 stipend. I'm saying that's stupid.
Well, and
We were paying 1,000, why do we wanna pay $1,500 to have somebody do it who's already sitting there doing
I
it?
asked Sean about his planting program, and obviously he doesn't have one, because he looked at me like I was a Martian, but that was always a part of it for Milt.
I know.
Yeah. And
Maybe it's time to take it out of their budget and go back to a part-timer.
No, because we don't wanna pay insurance, but additional insurance. But we'll,
What do you mean, pay additional insurance? I'm working for the town here, I don't get insurance.
no health insurance.
If that was part of an.
Selectmen
overall
don't even get
system,
insurance.
That you're not.
Why
going
would you
back
give it to a
anywhere.
$1,000 employee
Yeah.
who's a
No,
subcontractor?
well, we also, it's response time. I mean,
The fastest
We get-
response time you get is from
I was
part-timers.
gonna say, it must be getting close to 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
because this meeting is
Yeah.
getting pretty silly.
20 and 9, I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
second.
Now, you better watch your head count, because 2 of us are out next week, so for voting.
We're not gonna be here.
What do you mean you're not gonna be here?
I got to talk to the basic
Somewhere
in
controlled by the
Anchorage.
selectmen, right?
Anchorage.